Hello, and welcome back to the Small Print Podcast. As always, we are your hosts. I'm Elise, and I blog at roulettereader.wordpress.com.
And I'm Dawn, and I blog at bangbangbookblog.com.
And today is episode 2, where we are going to discuss some new trends in YA. Whether or not spoilers are something to be super sensitive about or not, we'll discuss kind of general what we feel about spoilers. And lastly, who we would invite to a YA dinner party. Let's get started.
All right, what are we starting with?
Trends.
Okay. Well, we chose classic literary characters retellings or historical event retellings. And the first one I came up with was Sherlock, since we're all kind of on a very long Sherlock hiatus. Jacoby I feel like he's a Cumberbatch type character because he's specifically described as having high cheekbones in the book. So it's Jacoby and Beasley Bones. And I think they were enjoyable.
Yeah.
They weren't terrible.
Sherlock is a fun character to read about in general, so I feel like any kind of Sherlockian retelling is going to be a good time.
No.
Somewhat.
I've read some bad ones.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, yikes.
So I was a little hesitant towards Jacoby, but I was like, oh, this isn't too bad because it mixes paranormal. So that was interesting. And then a new retelling is A Study in Charlotte. And that one is the teens are descendants of Sherlock and Watson.
One that I chose was called Unhooked by Lisa Maxwell. This is a debut for this year. And it's a Peter Pan retelling, but with a huge twist. Basically, this girl, Gwen, is kidnapped to Neverland, and she finds out that the classic story could not be further from the truth.
I feel like there have been a couple of Peter Pans. There's never, ever, I want to say. Okay.
And there's some Aladdin retellings out there right now.
That's not Peter Pan.
I know, but I'm just moving on to the next thing.
Obviously.
Yeah, there's like that's a... Never mind, I'm getting off topic. Yeah.
I was never a fan of Peter Pan. Like I
wasn't either.
Don't think I read the original. I kind of know what it's about, but so those don't really.
The story was always creepy to me, and not in a like intriguing creepiness. It was just, I don't care. Wendy was dumb. Peter seemed weird. I would never follow a child out my window. Yeah, but
I think I saw the play when I was a kid, but even then I was like, yeah, this is not for me. I chose The Great Hunt by Wendy Higgins, which is kind of a departure from her because she did I can't remember the name of it, but he was like an alien, and I just remember a girl in a pretty dress on the cover with a guy. It's the Grim Tale, the Singing Bone reimagination. I kind of looked over the Grim Tale, and that's a tough story.
Indeed.
And this is not as tough as it's loose. Except in the Singing Bone, it's a boar, and in this one, it's a bear, and the bear is like wreaking havoc.
So. Okay. Mine is not a Western story retelling. It's more of an Eastern cultural retelling. It's called The Star-Touched Queen. It's also a debut this year by Roshani Chokshi. This actually comes out next month. But she takes a variety of classic Indian mythology and tales and kind of puts it into her debut novel, but in a really creative way. So if you're into classic literature from other cultures, this is a great book to kind of start with, because she does go into it in the end of the book, kind of which stories she pulled from. And it was a fantastic book. It's like part retelling, part mystery, part epic fantasy. And that was, I really found that enjoyable.
There have been a couple of Shakespeare reimaginations. Exit Pursued by a Bear is from A Winter's Tale, and A Steep and Thorny Way is Hamlet.
Yes. Exit Pursued by a Bear. I read that book because it was specifically labeled as A Winter's Tale retelling, and having read The Winter's Tale, I was like, oh, that's going to be tough, because that's like the worst Shakespeare. Like, that's, of all of his female heroines, she gets screwed over the most.
Yeah.
You know, and while yes, she kind of does go into that in the book, I would call this a very loose retelling. I didn't see anything I don't know. She doesn't follow the whole story through, which is fine. That's totally fine. But sometimes I feel like people rate a book down if it doesn't specifically follow the original story.
And it doesn't have to be the
It
case.
does not
it could
have
just
to be
take
the
a
case.
character
Exactly.
or just like a theme
Right.
or something. It doesn't have to be
And that's
complete.
exactly what she does. She just takes kind of the beginning of Hermione's story from the Shakespeare original and puts it in her book and kind of makes it relevant culturally today. So keep that in mind. Like, I hate to see people rate a book down because it's not an exact retelling. It's like, come on, people.
Yeah.
We are not, you would not want to sit through an exact recreation of that story.
No, you wouldn't.
Come on.
And I'm guilty of that too. Sometimes I will start to read a book, and as I'm reading it, I'm like, this didn't happen,
Yeah.
and then as I'm reading, I have to change my thought process and say, you know what? Just because that didn't happen doesn't mean it's a bad book. This is a reimagination. This is somebody else's interpretation of the book, and you have to kind of judge it on those merits, not based on
exactly. And that's why I found this book so satisfying, is because it absolutely smacked me over the head with my own expectations and forced me to kind of like rearrange everything, both with rape culture and retellings and kind of reading in general. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Indeed.
Your turn.
That's the only two I have.
Okay, well, the other one I have is Vlad the Impaler, and that's And I Darken. Wuthering Heights, Stonefield is a reimagination. And then we have I don't know if this is a trend now, but infamous serial killers have started to creep up into YA fiction. So we have American Girls, and it's not based on Manson Girls, but it is
inspired
mentioned.
By?
Not
okay. Yeah.
I could. Well, I don't know. I didn't read the book. I don't know.
Okay.
And then Burn Baby Burn has Summer of Sam, which he was a serial killer in the 70s, Sam Berkowitz.
Yeah.
So I think I was starting to think it was a trend because I had to read Devil in the White City for a book club. I'm like, what's with all the serial killers? I'm like, oh, this book is old. This is not part of the trend. So
yeah. All right.
That's all.
Moving on. So next we can talk about spoilers.
Okay. Yeah.
This is an issue that we fight about all the time. And
do you want to explain?
Well, okay. I personally think that spoilers should be respected for sure. In book reviews, I always make sure to hide a spoiler if I do write one, because if someone's scrolling through, like a librarian like myself, sometimes I go through Goodreads to see if there's any kind of specific content I need to be aware of, things like that. And I don't necessarily want the book spoiled for me as I'm doing so. So in that regard, I understand. But in podcasts, so like in previous podcasts, Dawn and I have been like, oh my God, you can't say that because it's a spoiler. And then I'm like, well, this book has been out for years, specifically the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. We are on book 4. And I understand and respect the fact that not everyone has read the series, and that's fine. But, and to be fair, the spoilers that I was revealing were not massive spoilers.
I think one you did reveal was massive.
What did I do?
I'm not going to say it's a spoiler.
And see, I think if something's been out for longer than a year or so, you're subject to it. It's a landmine out there. If somebody's going to be talking about a book that you haven't read, remove yourself from the discussion. So we had authors come to our library this weekend, and one of them was just like dropping spoilers left and right for certain things, and everyone was like, whoa, oh my gosh. And he's like, dude, this movie has been out for a year. If you don't know what happens by now, that's not my problem. And I totally agreed with
That's
him.
different. I think a movie is different than a book.
I think they're the same.
No, because some people do not like to wait in between books. They want to read it right away, back to back to back, and they purposely wait. And I understand what you're saying.
And since that's
don't
the case,
put yourself in that situation.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like maybe they would like to enjoy the podcast, and we should say spoiler alert or cover your ears. I just feel so bad if we drop a major spoiler for even Throne of Glass is like 20 books long.
I get you. Because I have had book series ruined for me but this is my exact point. Okay, so I had a teen come up to me a couple weeks after Allegiant was published.
Oh, that's
and she just walked in and told me the ending. And I had planned on reading the book, but I hadn't got around to it. So because she spoiled the ending for me, I, first of all, lost total respect for the series itself, which is not Veronica Roth's fault, by the way. Just personal preference, putting that out there. But she also made me not want to read the end of the book, because what was the point if I already knew what was going to happen?
Are you playing your own devil's advocate here?
No.
Oh,
I'm
what's your
saying
point?
the time that she told me
Oh,
was
okay.
too soon. However, if it was like a year out, obviously everyone knows that she dies. Spoiler, sorry.
Oh, Elise, why did you do
Because this book is years old. The movie's coming out this year. If you don't know, that's not my fault.
that?
And see, we just totally feel differently about this issue.
So I'll give you an example. Harry Potter. I was very late to the Harry Potter party, and I would have been very upset if I had found out that certain characters were killed in the end, even though I was like 5 years late. I still don't want, and I mean, it was just like basic conversation. I don't know. I just feel like if it's a very big, like a Game of Thrones or Walking Dead, if it's a very popular genre, TV show, book, whatever, make sure that person has read it first, or this is in conversation, maybe not on a podcast, because this is just at your own risk. But in conversation, kind of just make sure don't talk about it if other people haven't had the opportunity.
Right, and I think that's the distinction that needs to be made. If someone, again, podcasts are different. We're specifically referencing podcasts or like booktubers and things like that. If you see a title or something is specifically listed in the podcast title that you have not read, maybe don't listen to it. Because I feel like the person who's recording this has the right to talk about the book in full openness.
But you know what? I think when we were talking about Throne of Glass, I don't think that was our topic. So how were they to know?
We were talking about something else. Yeah. I mean, and I definitely agree with you in that if something is going to be spoiled, we should put a warning out there. That's totally fair. But at the same time, and something I was referencing was something that happened in like book 1. And
but
so
people
most
still have
people,
not read book 1.
I know, but a lot of people, it's just not my problem.
There are a lot of bloggers who have not read books that we consider to be popular. Like they're like, oh, I haven't read Cinder yet. What? I feel like that book is old as hell. Why have you not? And I'm not judging. I'm not judging
no, for sure.
But it's astounding when people are like, and they're like huge bloggers, and they're like, oh, I haven't read Throne of Glass yet, or
I totally agree
Shadow
with you.
and Bone.
I am not judging anyone for not reading the more popular YA series, because maybe they do want to wait. That's totally fine. But in the world of BuzzFeed and Goodreads and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, you are subject to spoilers wherever you look, and that's a risk you take by waiting.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Risk. That's my point. That is my view. So
it's a risk.
It is a risk. It's a risk for both parties.
Yeah, it is.
It's a risk to put the spoiler out there, and it's a risk to be looking for stuff if you have not read the book.
But I think our dispute in previous podcasts is that you put it out there, and I'm like, don't, no. It's like, no. And in the moment, it's like, oh, somebody just got ruined. Sorry. I know they take the risk, but we can kind of eliminate the risk by not giving a spoiler of a book if we're doing a book talk. Who wait to read a sequence all at once, are they sucks to be you, or do you think it's okay to give them 5 years to finish a series? Because nowadays it's like 3 to 5 years for a series. If you're a person who waits, what do you think? If you're not quite up to like certain quote unquote popular books and you're on the fence on whether you should read it and then it gets spoiled for you, what are your feelings on that?
We would love to know. Yeah. We really would love to know. If you disagree with everything I'm saying, please tell me, because, it's not that I don't want to be sensitive to that. It's just, I don't know. I guess this is ridiculous to say, but I guess it just never occurred to me that people do wait, because I'm so not like that. And so, yeah, that's my own projection onto the listener, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because I just don't wait. I read the books as they come out.
I don't wait. And then I have to live in the torture of waiting for a year and a half, because we sometimes get books 6 months in advance
before the published date. And
then we have to wait even longer,
and that does suck.
Winter's kiss. All
All right, and then lastly, we just wanted to do this tag that's kind of popping around the vlogger world. Who would you invite to a YA dinner party? YA.
Yeah.
Okay.
I struggled with this because honestly, I don't think about this. I don't want to have dinner with authors. I'm kind of awkward and I just don't have much to say, and I don't want to have dinner with them. I
Very revealing.
I'm sorry.
No,
I told you I was gonna struggle with this.
That's okay.
So I chose these people because I like funny people, but I tend to like people who are that have a dark sense of humor or snarky or like brutally honest. And so I chose John Green, Adam Silvera, and Andrew Smith. I have met Andrew and Adam before, and they have this I don't give a care type of attitude. I'm gonna say whatever I want to say, and I think that's always a good time.
Yeah.
John Green just seems to have that type of personality on his Vlog Brothers podcast. So that's what I chose.
Adam Silvera would be a good time at a dinner party because he just like I'm the same way. I'm very awkward. I have a hard time like meeting new people because I don't know what they care about and what they want to hear me talk about. It's just I make it too big in my head.
Yeah.
And so I totally understand where you're coming from. But Adam like is the kind of guy that just makes you feel super calm.
Yeah.
And just like whatever, we're just hanging out, chatting, blah blah blah. We had the pleasure of meeting him at a library, and it was not awkward at all.
Just intended on saying hi, I liked your book, and just moving on, because that's what I do. Hi, I liked your book, and I'm moving on. I'm not gonna waste.
Don't want to waste anyone's time.
Yeah. And he talked for a while, and then the next day I was going to an event where he was, and at this event, it's an all-day thing, and you get to sit at like a banquet table with the author, and so you're essentially there eating lunch with them and breakfast with them for 5 hours, which is, I guess you could consider that to be a dinner party, but you're with 8 other people.
Yeah.
And I went to his table first because Lee Bardugo's table was full. I got there like 5 minutes too late, and then Lee's table, somebody got up and I snatched it right away. So it was tough for me to go from his table to her table. But if her table was full, I would have been at Adam's table. He was my second choice.
That's hilarious. My choices are a little bit nostalgic for me. I would like to have dinner with YA authors that I read when I was a teen and when I was kind of growing up, and that would probably be Gail Carson Levine, because I read Ella Enchanted when I was in middle school, and that book really kind of affected how I saw myself as a woman, and I won't go into that too much, but I really like her book. And then I would have a dinner, which unfortunately is impossible now, Louise Renison, because she passed away, I think, a few months ago, randomly from we don't know what. But she was the author of the Georgia Nicholson series, the Angus Thongs and Full Frontal Snogging books. It's like 8 books in the series. She's hilarious. And then probably J.R.R. Tolkien, because he is like the god of YA fantasy.
All right.
So yeah, those are my 3 picks.
I have not read any of those people's books, so I have no comment on that.
It's all good.
Sounds good.
Indeed. All right, guys. That's it for this week. As always, if you have questions that you want to shoot our way, you can tweet us at smallprintpod on Twitter, and then please let us know about the whole spoiler situation, because if I am in the minority, I will definitely stop throwing those spoilers out there. But I don't feel like I am. So I would love to hear everyone else's opinion on kind of how we view these things. So tweet us at smallprintpod, and we would love to answer your questions in our next podcast. So
we'll see you next week.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Do it again.
I already did it. Just do your
I ruined her outro.
Spoiled my outro and everything.
Oh, okay. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.